So Nintendo set out and they said, we are going to show you how great the Nintendo Switch is, and we're going to give you a little bit of everything, or show you that we're for everyone, for every type of gamer. Which, by the way, I loved Bowser coming up on here, and then the joke about the real Bowser.
Yeah, I was afraid that I wasn't afraid, but I thought that they would do like some kind of. I thought it would be more like of a word joke, but the fact that they actually put the Bowser graphic in there straight, like it was the fact like he was straightening his tie and acting like he was about to start talking. That was what made it solid. But he was absolutely right in what he said in terms of we have a little bit of everything, and there really, really was a little bit of everything. There was some complete shockers. I'm not going to jump all the way to the end yet, even though as much as I really want to. But something that this was just a complete surprise to me. The Dark Crystal thing. When Dark Crystal showed up, I'm like, what are they doing?
I totally didn't expect it. By the way, I couldn't tell if that was puppetry or if that was animation. It's so smooth, whatever it is. It doesn't matter in regards to the setup. But the game looks interesting, and it's definitely something I would give a shot at. Sorry, that definitely is puppetry now that I'm looking at it again. But yeah, it came out of nowhere. I know that Netflix has had some kind of tie-ins when it came to Stranger Things and everything, but I didn't expect Dark Crystal, and this is a big thing for and I'd say our generation, people a little older than us. But now I think this is going to be something for the next generation as well, with the new show coming out.
I definitely think it's a Gen X thing, more so than the millennials. But
Agreed.
like, I was like, in my notes, I'm literally like, Dark Crystal from Netflix, a Dark Crystal game, a Dark Crystal tactical RPG. Well, I like it. It just went on this like complete progression to what the heck? Like, just also the fact that the tactical RPG lives. Like, they have another one in here that I don't really want to spend too much time on because there's already been like a direct on it. But Fire Emblem Three Houses is also in there as a tactical RPG. I know it's not the most popular genre in the world, but this Dark Crystal thing instantly had me in. I wasn't expecting it. It's coming this year. The graphics look cool. You said that there was a tie-in. Is they're actually expanding on Dark Crystal?
Yeah, there's a Dark Crystal Netflix show coming out. That's why Netflix was on there. So Netflix is having, I believe it's a TV show. But yeah, that's being revised for the sequel. I assume it's a TV show, but it may be a movie. I have not looked into that portion. But I knew it's coming back. And I love Jim Henson projects, so yeah, I'll be watching it.
What else? Again, before we jump, we're gonna spend probably too much time talking about the end. If anybody can't figure that out, but what else? Like just grabbed you from Nintendo?
So we knew about Link's Awakening, and I'll talk about it briefly because I love.
Looks so cute.
It's adorable, and I love it. It's this great. We're going to be cartoony, and we're just going all in. I'm a big fan whenever something of a specific archetype or specific genre embraces it and just goes all in, and they totally did that with this. It's adorable. It's cute. I was already going to buy it. I'm really going to buy it now.
A totally unexpected thing from there that they came out with was the Dungeon Maker.
Yeah.
So this just makes me wonder. So we've had Super Mario Maker 1 and 2. Are we getting will they do a full-fledged Zelda Dungeon Maker game? Like, imagine that. Imagine having several generations of Link, several generations of dungeon building, things where like, I don't know, you could morph into, when you walk through the door, now you're like 8-bit Link. Like, as soon as they showed this, like, my mind went everywhere. Like, I suck at designing, so I'm never going to be the one that designs that, but I will buy the crap out of it and play anybody else's, like, dungeon boss run type things. Do you think this is a warm-up for that?
As much as I'd like to say yes, I don't think that it is. If they do it, they would have to go all in and allow or add some type of 3D element. So in my opinion, if they want to do it and be successful, they would need to go all in 2D and 3D in regards to the building, because in regards to building these dungeons, I think we need something kind of Breath of the Wild shrine-like.
Sure.
Something to that effect. I think that'd be easy enough. There's enough tools there for people to play with. When it comes to Ocarina, it's kind of hard to give a tool set for that, but I could still see it in regards to, it has specific things, the torches, shooting arrow on the eye, like specific things that happen. I don't think they're going to do it, but if they do, that's what I think they would do. That's personally.
Okay. No, I'm living on the end of dreams.
Sure.
For this, and so it just totally, like, I was like, yeah, like, this is a weird game to try it out in, but also at the same time a perfect game. I watched a little bit more of it on the Treehouse streams, which, if you guys don't know about Nintendo, during E3 especially, they do it other times, but during E3, they'll do their Direct, and then they have several other streams throughout the week where they just talk to the people who are making these games that they showed off. So I saw how it worked. They, like, there's certain, like, things that have to be met. You have to put treasure chest. You have to have enough treasure chests to, like, get the right keys and all that stuff. But it looks really cool. The music sounded amazing, absolutely amazing. The only thing I'm mad about when it comes to Link's Awakening is the fact that Europe is the only place that is getting the awesome looking Game Boy Steelbook. I'm a little bit upset about that.
I didn't realize that, and that's kind of a cool special edition to have. I mean, this is total throwback to Game Boy. It's a remake of a Game Boy game. So
America gets an art book, which, you know, fine, but, like, it's a really, it just, all it is just a simple, you know, Switch case steel book, but it's in the shape, you know, it looks like a Game Boy, and it has the original Link's Awakening graphic on it. Only thing I'm upset about, and that's all to do with marketing. That has nothing to do with the game.
Yeah, I will say another thing that surprised me, though, because we talked about things that we liked, but Trials of Mana being announced, I thought was
super cool,
very cool. It's a series I didn't expect to come back to. So the fact that we're getting a Mana game in here is really great, because Secret of Mana, I say Mana, because that's how Deckard Cain and everybody else in Diablo said it. So I say Mana. No, I thought it was great. It's not a series that I've dived into, just like we were talking about Fire Emblem Heroes. It's not a series that I'm into, and there's going to be a lot of that in this conference and to quite a few other conferences, where it might not be my thing, but they delivered for those who really enjoy it. But again, I just wanted to kind of be brief on these things. We could keep talking for hours on each one of these conferences. But they showed, we have a little bit of something for everyone.
Yeah.
The Witcher 3.
This was nuts.
Yes.
Because I was like, how do they... So I've read a little bit more. Again, they're talking about the Treehouse stuff. So for those of you curious and looking at this video that is on the screen right now, you can tell it doesn't look good. In handheld, it is running at 520p.
Yeah.
And then on docked, it will be running at 720. It comes on one 32 gigabyte cart. So they managed to shrink it down to, if you're buying the physical edition, one cart. So cool for them. Okay, I mean, it's Witcher. It's mobile Witcher. It doesn't look pretty, but you can play Witcher on the go. Like, like, what more do you want?
That's exactly what I was thinking with it. There are a lot of games that are going to end up porting to Switch. Strangely enough, LA Noire doesn't look that great on Switch, but it plays smoothly, and as smoothly as that kind of game, you know, can play. That's not a gameplay heavy game, but I think we're going to see a lot of that where we'll see a graphics downgrade to make sure that it plays properly, and I'm fine with that because it needs to run smooth. I don't want frame rates dropping, which I actually saw in a specific trailer during this. I'll jump ahead slightly because I'm thinking about frame rates, but the Marvel Ultimate Alliance trailer everything looked like, okay, I'm gonna buy this game.
It looks good.
Let me tell you that I'm gonna buy this game. But Whitney and I were watching this, and we realized that there was a little bit of chugging right there. You can see it.
Oh,
that's not the stream. That is their gameplay. I kept rewinding it, thinking, "Is that us? What's going on?" So there's a little bit of choppiness, and it didn't look as good as it could have if this was running on PlayStation 4. That being said, I'm going to buy it. But I was really surprised by that.
I didn't think it looked bad at all. You can tell there's definitely frame drops in there, and that's just when there's tons of stuff going on.
Yeah.
You're gonna see it. Which whatever, I don't care because it looks fun. They just kept rattling off and show, like you see here in this video, like the potential for dozens of characters to play as. Nothing about it made me upset. Every time I go into a Switch game now, I have an expectation that if it's a very resource heavy game, it's probably going to chug.
Sure.
And I just stopped caring. Like, it's not an expectation I have of the Switch. Like, it's an if it's on PS4 or Xbox One X or Xbox One, like, and there's frame drops for some reason, I don't really give a lot of passes to that unless the game is just amazing. But the Switch, I'm like, you're doing so much with this little 2-inch piece of hardware that I'm nothing but impressed.
Yeah, no, I would agree. That's where I'm saying, like, I want to see, like they did with LA Noire and some other games, downgrade the graphics. One of the best running games on the Switch is Breath of the Wild. Zelda Breath of the Wild is so good and smooth, and that's because of the graphics that they chose for it. It's very forgiving, similar to Borderlands. We talked about that a couple weeks ago, and how Borderlands is so forgiving because of the cell shading. It allows for it to run easier because it's not as graphically intensive. So there were quite a few other games that got announced. I was excited about No More Heroes 3. Sorry, I almost said 2.
That's okay. No More Heroes 3. I don't know this franchise very well. Okay. Whenever it popped up, like, the only reason I knew it is because the guy talking said something about heroes, and I'm like, oh, No More Heroes? Okay, yeah, that's what it is. Is this something that you've played before?
Yeah. So I played the Wii game. It was on the first Wii, and I think there was one on Wii U. I can't remember where the second one, where that one left off, but I will say that I didn't think the second one was as good as the first one. That's just me personally.
Okay.
But it's a franchise that I enjoyed playing. It's not something I'm a huge fan of, but I definitely enjoyed it. And it's something that getting a sequel is, in my opinion, warranted. It's something that people can definitely enjoy and continue to enjoy these characters and everything. So I was okay with that.
No, the only other shout outs that I really have, I don't really care about watching them over again, but Panzer Dragoon, that's cool. Mm-hmm. The new Smash character being the hero from Dragon Quest. They used the hero from 11, 8, 4, and 3, I believe.
I thought that was cool.
At first, I thought they were just going to do the Luminary, which is which is Dragon Quest 11's, and then they followed it up by talking about the Definitive Edition, which was cool. But the coolest thing about the Definitive Edition, there's two things. The 16-bit game looks dope, and they also mentioned that they are increasing battle speed for the Switch version so that you can... I'm assuming it'll be something like Final Fantasy VII now, where you like click the stick and you move, like it goes through it faster, which for people who've already bought it, like there's reason to play it again and not have the game last nearly as long. Those two are cool moments, and then the only other thing that before the last thing is Luigi's Mansion 3 looks cool. That looks cool.
I'm glad we're getting that because I wanted to see more. It's not that I hate handheld, but I prefer a traditional console experience. So I didn't get to play, I chose not to play the Luigi's Mansion that was on 3DS for that reason. There were only a few handheld games that I've dove into. What was the Zelda game that was on 3DS? Link Between Worlds.
Yeah, there's Link Between Worlds.
That one was great, and then I played...
I hate the other two, though.
Yeah.
The DS games. Ugh.
Yeah. So I enjoyed that. I also thought Banjo-Kazooie jumping in there was really cool.
I like the troll.
I liked it a lot. I was happy about that.
The Duck Hunt troll was great.
Yep. I like how they had to point it out, too. Like,
Yeah.
they had to point that out. But I will say the biggest thud, in my opinion, was the Sonic and Mario Olympics announcement.
Really?
Yeah, so I've not enjoyed these. Maybe they've gotten better because I've skipped the last one or two.
Sure.
But I really didn't enjoy them. I felt, I don't know, like I felt they were just a flash in the pan. They weren't as good. I don't know. To me, I felt like they didn't master any of the different games. It's basically a bunch of mini games, right?
Yeah.
And I felt like each one of them was kind of weak, in my opinion. Playing it on the Wii and everything, wasn't a fan.
I didn't play
just
it,
my personal
but
opinion.
they're not doing Wii Sports on Switch. The game, like, they didn't really show a whole lot of gameplay. They showed a little bit. I mean, I don't think it's for us, really. I think it's a great thing for parties. It's a great thing for kids.
Sure.
It didn't look awful to me. The real thud. The biggest thud was that weird Resident Evil commercial. I don't know if you saw that whole interaction. They go inside this house to play Resident Evil 1, and then it's an announcement for Resident Evil 5 and 6. 0 cents. I was like, I understand that you're about to say a new Resident Evil, but why are they playing Resident Evil 1 in a scary house?
Yeah, I couldn't tell honestly if it was Resident Evil 1 or 2. What? Yeah, it was 1. Sorry. Yeah, they're playing that. So I heard that they're bringing 1 and 2 to the Switch, and then 5 and 6 is later on. So it was a mixed message kind of thing. But either way, I guess, like, yeah, it's a weird mixed message. It could have been done so much better. I did see a bunch of people who were saying, well, you know, why are they going to this house? Why are they? I mean, I guess they're trying to be immersed, but I personally would not want to huddle around a Switch in a house, in a haunted house. That's just me.
But you know what? I don't really care because the last 60 seconds
was
the moment, the highlight moment. Like, I didn't think anything could beat Final Fantasy VII the night before. Oh, but Nintendo's like, oh, but wait, sir.
This was the greatest one more thing that I've ever seen. And they didn't have to show too much. You can tell the art style. You can definitely tell that's, you know, more than likely the remains of Ganon.
Human Ganon, yeah.
Yeah, somehow, Ganondorf. So somehow coming back, and the castle being, you know, I don't know if it's being brought. I mean, definitely lifted somewhere or something to that effect. To me, I thought that this was one of the most brilliant pieces of teaser that I could have had, because it showed me we're still in the Breath of the Wild universe, if you want to call it that, because Zelda has this weird tone shifts and the weird timeline. They straight up called it the Breath of the Wild sequel.
Yeah, they did.
I don't think they're going to call it Breath of the Wild 2.
Yeah, it'll have its own name.
It'll have its own name, but we totally called this last week in our wish list, and I said Majora's Mask, Breath of the Wild. Take Breath of the Wild, give me a new game with all those assets, and it looks like that's what they're doing, and it's probably the smartest move Nintendo's made in quite a while.
The thing that made it even smarter was... So, and we even talked about this last week in the show also. We criticized the fact that in last year's E3, they put up a slide for Pokemon Switch. They put up a slide for Metroid Prime 4. No, they didn't do that. They didn't just put up sequel Zelda. Like, they showed you a cinematic. They showed you not just Link also, which... This is where it starts to be a real tease. Like, Zelda was in the shot with him.
Yes.
Are we finally going to get to play as Zelda outside of, you know, in a mainline Zelda game? Is that going to happen? Right now, I'm just going to say probably not. But you never know. They went darker. You can tell that we don't know if this is a prequel or a sequel yet. They said sequel as far as a game goes, so hopefully that means moving forward. But I don't care. I don't care at all. You can do whatever you want. Like it was beautiful. They have so many assets to use from Breath of the Wild. They spent so long making the engine for that game. They spent so long building the biggest Zelda world ever made. The open world, like, obviously there's lots of stuff that we can speculate, like, what do we want? We want more dungeons. That's the biggest thing. Like, give me dungeons. Like, there's a lot that we can say that we want about this, but the announcement was perfect.
Yeah.
An absolute perfect announcement.
It was. It really was perfect. And it's one of those times where because this is branching off from Breath of the Wild, I didn't need to necessarily see gameplay because I know that we're taking that and we're moving forward with it, and that's fine.
I know how to play Breath of the Wild.
I know how to play Breath of the Wild. I don't need huge advancements. I'd like some different stuff that's thrown in there. I'd like some different items. I want
a hook shot.
I want a hook shot. There's so many things we could list and go on and on about, but I think this is one of those moments that hooked everyone. And to me, there were a couple moments that I think this was the biggest exciting everyone fan base, because there were I saw quite a few things on Twitter and Facebook about moments during E3. This one was one that resonated with everyone, in my opinion. Everyone that I know who plays games, except for Whitney, posted about it. So
yeah, I went nuts. I really, whenever they were saying that they were going to do one more thing, I really, at that point, whenever it comes to Nintendo Directs, which I realized earlier today whenever I was preparing for the show, I love Nintendo Directs now. I remember when they first started doing these, I was heavily critical about, like, no longer doing the live aspect. It's now one of my favorite ways to do a presentation. So I'm like, what could they really be doing? I thought they were going to maybe end with more Smash or something like that, even though they just did Banjo-Kazooie, like maybe adding something else, or maybe a Mario Kart. Yeah. But giving us a sequel to Breath of the Wild, just so awesome. And before I ask for your grade on this, I did want to mention, I don't think it's really me or you's thing. Animal Crossing got delayed. It was supposed to come out this year. It's now coming out in March of 2020. I know that disappointed a lot of people. It's never been my franchise, but I know that it has a very passionate fan base.
It's not a huge thing for me, but I really appreciated I appreciated them saying that they were apologizing, saying we want to have it be the best. And Respect. then they right afterwards, or shortly afterwards, they had some interview or some press release saying, we did not want our employees to go through crunch, so we're delaying it. They specifically said, we are not going to sacrifice our employees' well-being and have them work 100-hour weeks to get this thing out on time. We want it to be good, but we don't want to sacrifice our own sanity. And I totally
said the right things.
That. Yes, they totally did.
So, all my grades have already been posted, which, by the way, if you want any of the links from any of the conferences, I wrote a note for each conference on facebook.com/TheLanCave. I have trailers to every single link, so you don't have to watch the whole presentation if you don't want to. All my grades are already up there, so we already know mine. But Patrick, what did you grade the Nintendo press conference?
So I'm going to give it a B+.
Okay.
Because the Zelda bumped it up.
Okay.
Because of my bias, I'll admit that. But overall, I was satisfied with what they gave us. I was satisfied. Like I said, they came out from the start and, like a thesis statement of an essay, they're like, this is what we are hoping to do with this presentation, and they nailed that. They had enough surprises in there, and they didn't spend too much time on Smash Brothers and other games, because I know sometimes they say we're going to do a Smash Direct. That's cool, but sometimes they say we're going to have a Nintendo Direct, and half of it is a specific game that can bore people. So I think the pacing was really good, so I give it a B+. What was your grade on this, by the way?
I gave it an A.
Yeah.
I think I think they did what they set out to do. They said they have games for everybody. There's literally games across every spectrum. There was action games, RPGs, fighting games, obviously with Smash. We didn't have a Mario Kart thing. That's the only thing that was really like missing, I think. But there was a racing game. There was to me, it reminded me of RC Pro-Am. So there was that. But I think everything. I loved it. I don't think there really could have been. I don't know about A+, like what would have made it an A+, really, but solid A. Just knocked it out of the park. Concise. I think it was like 30 or 40 minutes long, and I wasn't bored ever.
Yeah.
So
I wasn't bored as well. I completely agree. Yeah, it was satisfying. It was entertaining. Kept pacing. Like I said, it kept the pace up, and we didn't have a lull where I will say the chat was being pretty negative, but the chat was negative like throughout all of E3.
That's internet chat, dude. Like, that's where the chat that came out that was like, Breath of the Wild's overrated. Like, get out of here. Get out of here.
Yeah, I would say that Breath of the Wild, and yeah, I'm biased, but from an objective standpoint, it is one of the greatest games to have come out in the recent history. In my opinion, is one of the greatest games of all time. But overall, yeah, I don't think it's overrated one bit.
Yeah, and before moving on, there's a couple other things we didn't mention in there. There was a Al Capone game in the 20s.
Yeah.
Cadence of Hyrule actually comes out tomorrow. Already got that pre-downloaded onto my Switch. And Daemon X Machina. Oh, and Contra made a weird comeback. That was the other thud for me, where that game looked really weird. But
yeah, that was just weird. Yeah, tone-wise, and
But the Contra collection being available on Switch, that was dope.
Very cool. Very cool. I think there's only one thing that you mentioned what would have made this an A+.
Yeah.
Metroid.
Okay.
Metroid.
Yeah, showing a piece of the new Metroid Prime.
Yeah. I think that would have been. And for those who don't know, they scrapped the work that they had done on Metroid Prime, and they're reworking it in one of their apologies. So, we'll see what happens with Nintendo moving forward. But I think it's a good stage to be set for the next almost the next year.
So I think we're going to call Nintendo Direct a wrap, unless you have anything else to say about that.
I think it's good.
For those of you who are tuning in live, we're going through our E3 conferences backwards. So we did Nintendo, which means we move on to my other favorite show of the By the way, like, I was feeling a little low on the E3 conferences. Square comes along, right hook. Nintendo comes along, uppercut. Like, just super strong finish this last two conferences. So